Married Tonic once again. This is Titilola Martins and you are welcome. All right, today I am going to talk about 4 or 5 things that we should teach our children. Okay, yes, while it is very good that we mind the way we interact with ourselves, husband and wife, your relationship, but family doesn't stop with yourself and your husband, yourself and your wife alone at all. The children, in fact, they determine the future of that family, as it were. Why am I so particular about children today? I realize that many things that happen to us as adults, talking about siblings now, the way siblings they interact with themselves as adults is determined by the way they've been interacting when they were young, when they were small children, when they were really, really younger, when they were kids. Yes. And their interaction with themselves when they are kids is determined also by the kind of system that we set in our house, in our homes, rather. Seriously. So what kind of system are you setting in your home? The system you are setting in your home, what kind of future will it give you? Seriously. Now, this topic emanated from my thoughts about some things around me, about some experiences I've had, even with my own children, and on like that, things I see around. And I feel that there's really a need to really talk about this. Okay? So my married tonic for you today is regarding our children. 4 things that you need to, there are many things we need to teach them, but there are 4 things I will mention that you really need to be deliberate, intentional about inculcating in your children. And number 1 is teach them how to care for others. I've seen so many selfish adults. It starts from being a selfish child, a selfish kid that wants everything to himself alone, to herself alone, that only thinks of him or herself alone. What happens to the other kid in the class, the other kid in the neighborhood, the other kid, around, does not matter to them. They don't even think, they don't even come home to tell you, oh, my friend didn't have ruler today and I don't know what to do. Stuff like that. You will know that children care about others the way they talk about their friends, their classmates, and all that. So you really need to inculcate, like I said, selfish adults start from selfish kids. Teach them to care for others, to think while they are having 3 square meal. Let them know that there are some children that don't have 3 square meal. What can you do? Yes. Teach them to care for others. It may be their used clothing that is no longer their size, that is no longer useful to them. How are you helping them to keep it and letting them know we are taking this thing to the where do you call it? There's this I do to charity, for charity, to the motherless babies home. That's what I do with my kids and I let them know that okay, all this that you're no longer using, there are some children. This one that you're saying no, I don't want to wear it to that party. It's no longer this that. It is Christmas dress for some other people. It is still okay. Some people, they will use some clothing and they say, oh, you no longer size my child, and the next you see is you've turned it to a rag. If it is no longer good for your child, it's good for some other children. That clothing, that shoe that is no longer their size, are you not just throwing them away? Are you not just giving them out without letting your children know that this is what I'm doing with your used clothes, your used shoe that is no longer your size? So that little things that we do, that it inculcates some things. I call them everlasting values in those children. Teach them to care for others, not to think about themselves alone. I see a lot of selfish people around. I see a lot of people do. In fact, many of these vices we see going all around, people, doing all sort of things, killing and all that. If you really care about others, you will not want to take somebody's life. It starts from there. The society, yes, the society is a function of the family. What kind of individuals is your own family pumping into the society? Care to ask yourself that. Then number 2, of course, teach them not to be self-centered. First of all, teach them to care for others. Teach them, it still goes around. Teach them not to be self-centered. Teach them to share with others. Yes. You know, I deal, you know, I'm a school proprietor. I deal, I'm into schools, okay? And I deal with children every day. There is an issue I settled amongst, you know, some 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 3 of them today. One said I needed, he finished his own water and needed to ask for water from another person, and you know, that one actually gave, and you know, something happened along the line and all that. I don't want to bore you with the details, but I was able to commend that boy that was willing to share his water. At the end of the day, he shared his water, and after a while he didn't have water to drink again. And you know, on and on, some other things happened. But I commended the fact that even though he knew that, okay, this water, if I share with these people, I may not be able to have water some other time. But at that time, what he was just after is, let the friend be fine. And so he didn't even remember that this water may not be enough for me to the close of school. You know, it's a mindset. Of course, there are ways to balance, you know, giving to people. But I love that mindset that that's my focus, that he was willing to share. Somebody will say, no, it's not going to be enough for me, so I'm not going to share with you. Be that as it's made, they may be right in their own, you know, in their own space. But the point I am making, are you teaching your children to care about others, to care for others, to share with others? Some children cannot even share with their siblings. You are noticing that among your children now. Please curb it. Because when they grow up, that's why you see some children, after their parents are gone, fight will begin. Serious one, and the enmity, real show of enmity, as if they have never been families, will show up. Is because at the beginning, as parents, we have not been able to inculcate what family means to these children. If they do, when they teach the child the way it should go, when it grows up, it will not depart from it. So what are you teaching your children among themselves? Not even the neighbor now, among themselves. Some children are having it really rough. Some people, adults, are having it really rough in marriage now because they never learned to keep a good relationship with their own siblings. What are you doing about your own siblings? I mean, your own children. What kind of relationship are you helping them to build together? Very, very important, because your children are the future of that family. Teach them to share with others. Teach them to share amongst themselves. Create that system. Create that atmosphere. Create that, you know, scenarios that will make them to share. And before you know it, they inculcate that, oh, when I'm eating, I must remember that some people are not eating. Or it could even be when you want to eat as a family. Oh, I've seen a family wanted to eat. Okay, Junior, pray for us. And while praying, Junior mentioned families that don't have to give God gift to have to eat. Lord, give to them. That family, those parents, they've taught the children something, that the fact that you have food on your table does not mean that every other person have food on their table, care about them. Even if you cannot do anything about it, pray for them. That's the least you can do. I love that. So what values? There are some things we do naturally in our homes that we don't know that we're actually inculcating values in our children. These are values that it is very, very important that you deliberately, intentionally create in your children. And lastly, teach them to share in the joy of others. I will round up with this scenario. One day, about 4 or 5 years back, I went to a family. The junior one, it was a birthday. And when I got there, okay, everybody all focus on the junior, on, you know, the girl and everybody. And I saw a brother, you know, sitting there in one corner, was not really excited. And I was like, why is he not excited? And The parents said, oh, that's the way he does. Oh, once things are not, once the focus is not on him, he is not happy. I said, no, we have to do something about this to help this guy. And I called the guy, spoke, talked to him, explained certain things to him. And before you know it, the next day, he came to me, he said, Mrs. Martin, see what I wrote to my sister. He wrote a wonderful happy birthday note to the sister. Then the guy should be around, that boy should be around 6 years old. And maybe the sister 4, 3 then. He said, if at this stage you are not happy that it is your sister's birthday, and so you are not happy because it is not you everybody is rallying around. No, that means you don't know how to cope with other people's success. That has to be dealt with. If you notice that amongst your children, there are so many things, so many traits they are exhibiting now that are really, really dangerous. They may not be looking dangerous as children, but they are dangerous when they exhibit them as adults. If you don't want them to exhibit them as adults, this is the time to what? Nip it to the bud. Take care of it. That's my Monday marriage turning for you. That's my turning for you today. Look inwards, look into your family. What vibe, what values are you encouraging in your family? And what is the impact that it can make on the future for you? The consequence on the future for you, or the prospect. Be intentional. So I'll round up. Be intentional about teaching them how to care for themselves. Be intentional about teaching them not to be self-centered. Yes. Teach them, be intentional. Teach them to share with others. And teach them to rejoice with others, to share in the success of others. You see, some adults, they are not just feeling good when the attention is not on them. When it is time to celebrate somebody else, they don't feel, they could pretend to be good with it, but you will know that they are not just feeling good about it. They cannot rejoice with others. They feel bad. Something in them feel like something is going down within them when somebody else is doing well. It starts from being as kids. So please, my tonic for you today is watch your kids. What kind of traits are there in them that shouldn't grow up with them? Nip it to the bud and be deliberate about it. So it's about our kids today. Thank you very much. Please do something about this marriage tonic. Maybe God will just want you to look at something. Okay, maybe I should give you. Okay. Let me just round up with this story. There was this time my children were really, really small at that time, and two of